Hi everyone, this is Tammy Colburn Consejo. Today we're going to talk about different types of stress, and also I'll be providing you with a long list of stress management strategies that you can add to your toolbox. I've got here a handout that I'm going to be referring to, and it's something that I created to use with my counseling clients and to use with my college students. So I'll be looking at that from time to time. So in looking at stress, we are biologically programmed to have a certain level of stress. That's what literally keeps us alive and what keeps us motivated to do what we have to do in our daily lives. Then there's a kind of stress called eustress, and that's spelled E-U and then stress. Eustress is a good kind of stress. So if you think about some things that are very important to you, you might feel some stress. I know I felt stressed when I was going to have children. I felt stressed when I got married. I felt stressed when I bought a house. I felt stressed when I bought my truck and my tractor because I had to figure out how to pay for it, even though I really wanted those things. So when you think about special things in your life or things that are really important to you, even if you get them or can participate in these activities that you want, there still is a level of stress. So the body and the mind, the brain, we don't know why the stress is coming. The body just knows the stress is coming. So if I had a cup in front of me and I were pouring into it good stress hormones, bad stress hormones, the cup still fills. So keep that in mind. Another type of stress is hyperstress. Hyperstress is something that you will know and other people will probably know that you're feeling overwhelmed. It might be you're still functioning, but things are harder. It might be one big thing that's happening. Remember, good, bad, neutral, even boredom can create stress. But hyperstress is an accumulation of stress hormones where that cup just is on the verge of overflowing. Not quite, but it could. You feel like, oh my goodness, that it's all I can do to contain how I'm feeling right now. Then there's distress. Distress means your cup's overflowing. If you're distressed, it could mean that you're thinking about suicide, planning suicide, that you may be in the hospital. And those are the extreme end of the spectrum in looking at distress, because in distress, it also might be, I just don't have any patience for anything. I can't get out of bed. My anxiety's going through the roof. I feel like maybe I'm getting some depression. Life is really hard to get through when you're in distress. And that may be a time when you're thinking, I need to reach out to a professional. It might be my doctor. It might be a religion professional. It might be a professional counselor, a best friend. But it's going to be difficult to get through if you get to that stage of stress. So if you want to learn a little more about this, there is another video on this channel called The Brain on Stress, and it compares the brain and the thinking part of the brain and the hope and problem-solving part of the brain to a sponge. And it talks about the different levels of stress that I just discussed, but as if there were a sponge and water were filling it. So it's a good way to understand what I'm talking about here. So now we're going to look at the list of strategies. When you feel stressed, many of you have probably heard about deep breathing. Sometimes you can't even think about deep breathing. It doesn't even cross your mind. What I want you to get into those brains is a tool of hugs. So a self hug can help, a hug from someone you care about, a hug from a child, a hug from an animal, a hug from a partner, it can come from a lot of places, but a self hug will do if that's your only option. Also, some kind of pressure, if you're pushing a pillow against yourself, or some people use a weighted blanket. Or have any of you been in the dentist office and they place a leaded heavy thing on top of you, and a lot of people say, oh, that feels so good. Well, our body, our sympathetic nervous system can get turned up too high, and that pressure will slow it down some, and it will help us think more clearly, where we can access our other tools that we're not thinking of in the moment. So just remember, hug, 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 or some kind of pressure. Belly breathing. So if you can get to belly breathing, you imagine that to get the best level of oxygen, you're filling your belly up like a balloon. When we are stressed, oxygen doesn't go all the way down to our belly. And there's another term called sipping air. It's kind of slang, but when you get stressed, pay attention to your breath, and it stays more at the top of your lungs for quick access in case you need it for fight or flight, which is meant to be a life-threatening situation. So if you can really focus on getting air back into your belly, sometimes even putting your hand on your belly to feel it rising and falling can be helpful. And a nice way to practice this is actually when you're laying down. It seems to be easier to tell exactly what you're doing and how to do that breathing. More oxygen brings down your stress hormones so that you can think more clearly and calmly. There's something called EFT, or tapping. This is a form of energy psychology where you are tapping on certain acupressure points or energy centers, and there's a video on this channel for adults and a video on this channel for kids. So if you are tapping in certain spots on your body that have been studied to be linked to mental health, it's a really quick way to bring down your stress levels so you can think more clearly. So I invite you to take a look at the tapping video for adults, and that would be for teenagers too. And there's a tapping video for kids. Grounding is kind of like what it sounds like. If you think I'm on the ground or roots are in the ground, grounding is a way to pull you out of the worries about the past or worries about the future, and helps you come into the present moment. In the present moment, that's all you can get through anyway. We can't get a redo on the past. We can't do the future or live the future before we get there. All we have is now. Now, I love the AA, NA, OA, other A's. I love the slogan, one day at a time. It's fabulous. Grounding is teaching you to get through one moment at a time, because one moment at a time is all you can do. So it's a way to use your senses to bring you back to now, not the past, not the future, and all you have to get through is now. There is another video on this channel about grounding, and I invite you to check it out. Visualization in a happy place. We're all capable of daydreaming. The term for that is dissociation. We all kind of can go off to another place in our minds, and we're not even aware of what's going on in front of us. And that's a really nice way to get a break from the current situation. So to visualize a happy place, you literally pre-plan a place where you can go in your mind. And there's also a video on the channel about how to do that. So I hope that you'll take a look at that. Worst case scenario. Sometimes we're in fight or flight or freeze Or another F is focus, meaning inability to focus. If we're in that state of anxiety, which is hyperstress or distress, we can't really think that clearly. It feels life-threatening because it's fight, flight, freeze, or focus. When something feels life-threatening, we think catastrophically in that there's no way I'm going to get through this. Even if you're not thinking it's life-threatening consciously, your body's telling you, danger, danger, danger. My life is in danger. My life is at risk right now. So when that happens to you, you want to just say, all right, I'm feeling like I'm in fight or flight and it feels life-threatening. What is the worst thing that could happen right now? And you identify it, and then, well, what can I do? What are some things that go along with that? Is it realistic how I'm feeling right now? So most things are not life-threatening, but we are in a country, if you're watching this in the United States, we're in a country that lives in a perpetual state of higher stress just as a way of being. So it doesn't take much to get us into a hyperstress or distress state where we really are imagining the worst possible scenarios and catastrophizing. Another thing to think about is questioning your worries. And here are some questions. Can I change the past? Will worrying about the future protect me or others? And then reminding yourself that all I have control over is what I do now, regardless of the situation that's happening. Further, remember that emotions are just signals. That's it. Another dominant US culture thing that happens is we've been programmed to deny emotions, and that especially negative or uncomfortable emotions are bad. They're normal. Emotions are just signals that tell you that you need to pay attention to something. So when you have an emotion, the least stressful way to handle it is to say, oh, wow, I'm feeling really mad right now, or sad, or worried, or frustrated, or super happy, or whatever it is. Just allow it to happen. Emotions go flowing through if we let them. It's just like, pay attention, you're feeling this way, what's going on? And if it's an uncomfortable or negative feeling, what do you need to do about it to feel better? And if it's a good feeling, then be in the moment so you don't miss it, thinking about the past or worrying about the future. Another thing that's really important is something called replacement thoughts. There's going to be a video about this soon. Replacement thoughts are a way to say, okay, I'm thinking this negative thought. What is a more positive thought that could also be true? A self-compassionate replacement thought is one where you're kind to yourself, just like you would be kind to someone else. This is a huge topic for us folks. Either you're born in the US or you've lived in the US for a while, where we're not so good as a nation at being self-compassionate. So there will be a video just specifically about this. Another one, positive self-talk. Be your best coach. Again, what would you tell someone else? Don't be dishonest with yourself, but be fair to yourself. And if you can say some positive things to yourself about what you're going through, like you're your own coach, that's really going to help you manage your stress levels. Distraction is a big tool. So part of this tool has subcategories. So if distraction is your tool, you want to think, what kind of tools do I want in my toolbox? Because sometimes I need a flathead screwdriver and sometimes I need a Phillips. So what are things that can help you get your mind off your worries or your stresses? Because we need to take breaks from those things. So just build up your distraction toolbox. What are some things I can do? What are some things that bring me peace? And I'm not talking about I'm going to take a vacation once a year. I'm talking about what can you do on a daily basis to give yourself a quick break. Speaking of breaks, take short breaks. If you have a really hectic day, take 5 minutes, maybe go outside, get some good air, stretch your body, which releases more stress hormones. Think about something else. Call a friend, play a game, do a puzzle. Do something that gives that churning mind a break from whatever it is that you're thinking about. If that break includes your body, moving your body is a great way to de-stress. Even if you don't feel like it, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go for a walk or a run or do stretching or lift some weights, or moving your body really helps with mental health in so many ways, and it helps with physical health. But moving your body does reduce stress hormones. Get fresh air as much as possible. There's a video earlier where I've got a bike helmet on, and I'll tell you what, I was having a bad day that day, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite for all you folks watching the videos. I just wanted to be a blob on the couch, and I recognized that that wasn't good for me. So I put on my bike helmet, I went out and recorded a video that I didn't feel like going, but I was going to do it anyway. And that fresh air and combined with moving my body really helped me feel better. So even though you don't feel like it when you start, really try hard to do something anyway and get moving, get that fresh air going. Expose yourself to natural sunlight. So I'm going to do a video about this, but we're in Vermont, or some of you may not be who are watching this, but in Vermont we have many months of darkness, and even though there's some daylight, the days are short, and we can have a lot of seasonal affective disorder going on, or just plain old extra stress because of the daylight and the less daylight. So exposing yourself to natural sunlight really helps. And even on a cloudy day, even in the middle of winter on a cloudy day, even during a snowstorm in the middle of winter on a cloudy day, if you are in front of a window or stepping outside, you'll notice the light is white instead of yellow like a light bulb. So that can help you, and there will be a video with more details about that. Getting enough sleep. Again, United States dominant culture is, we think that we can pack so much into our day that we can just give up sleep. No big deal. Sleep is one of the most important things you can do for your mental and physical health. So getting enough sleep is really important and kind of counterculture. So there's another video on this channel about how to do that, because it's not easy. Meditation is something that is really good for the body, the mind. Some of you are really skilled at it. I encourage you, if you've not done much meditation, to get back to it. Most of us aren't practiced in doing meditation. So we do better with guided meditation where someone is talking us through it. So it could be on an app on your phone. It could be on a CD. There is a guided meditation video right on this channel that you can check it out and see if it helps you. It's important to identify patterns and triggers, because sometimes we're just on autopilot and we keep stepping into these stressful situations or behavior patterns, and we're creating our own stress. So that's something really important to work on, and you can work on it yourself, with a friend, with a mental health professional, but it's really enlightening and empowering if you can identify what those triggers are, and then you have more control over whether you step into it or not. Other things that can help are things like Reiki, acupuncture, massage, those things can cost money. So, you know, it may or may not be something that you do, but these types of things really help with energy and releasing negative energy. Music. What can I say about music? Music can help with our mood. It can help us if we have angry music, if we're trying to get rid of some anger. That can be a double-edged sword to make us feel more angry. But whatever kind of music you like to pump you up or to bring you down, to relax, music can change your stress hormone levels very quickly, and it's pretty surprising how quickly that can happen. I've tried salt cave therapy. That was a cool thing. And I'm going to give a plug to the Montgomery Salt Cave, Montgomery, Vermont. And if you haven't been there, I hope you go. It is so restorative. They have no idea that I'm saying this on video. But being in salt air is good for us. And there's going to be a little more about that on a video one of these days. Another thing to do is think about gratitude. There's lots of proof that if we're grateful for things, even on the worst day, if we can find something sincere to be grateful for, that can help us manage whatever stressful situation we're in. So you may want to try this. Something I was not happy this morning. It's May, I don't know, for May, I don't remember. We're a few days into May. And I looked out my window and it was snowing and I'm like, oh no. But I'm in a gratitude habit. I was mad. It's like, oh no, first a pandemic and now it's gonna snow in May. But I quickly went to, but I'm grateful that I have a home, a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I can pay for the fuel to heat my home. I'm grateful that I'm in a nice warm house. So I need to just stop complaining and be glad that I'm okay, even though I didn't like it. Medication is something that some people do need. If your stress levels are so high that you may be experiencing anxiety, you may be experiencing some depression, then and your tools aren't working, or they're sort of working but not enough. That may be when you want to talk to your primary care provider and just see, hey, you know, might it help me temporarily or longer term to try an antidepressant, which helps with anxiety and depression. It just helps balance out the stress hormones and the calming hormones. So that's something you would want to talk to your medical provider about. There are lots of other things that you can do, but this is a general list, and I hope that you will check out the other videos in on this channel, and also subscribe, because our group is trying to do some daily or near daily videos to help cope during the COVID pandemic. I mean, this coronavirus has really upended all of our lives. So I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you find other videos that we're offering helpful. And if you like this, go ahead and like the video, share it with people you think could benefit, and subscribe to the channel if you would like to keep being alerted to these videos. Thank you for your time. I'll see you soon.